Hello, this is my leadership interview presentation. So first up is my reflection. So for my leadership mapping graph, I had these 10 skills that I thought were important for being a good leader: good communication skills, empathy, confidence, humility, trustworthiness, a lack of favoritism, being open-minded, enthusiastic, being well educated on your area, and then also being flexible. Um, Within all of those, there were three characteristics that I believed, I believe I possess more than three of them, but um, the three that I chose to reflect on were empathy, humility, and good communication skills. I have always felt like I'm a very empathetic person. It's always been pretty easy for me to put myself in someone else's shoes and better understand their situation. Humility, I am definitely always able to admit if I have messed something up, or that I'm not the expert on something. I definitely don't feel like I need to be the smartest person in the room. You know, the expert on the topic doesn't have to be me. I'm okay with sharing that spotlight. Um, and then good communication skills. I always have felt like I'm a good communicator. I'm able to listen to people without interrupting them. I let them finish what they're talking about, and then also I'm able to speak calmly and clearly to help. I feel like it helps to resolve a lot of conflicts and even to prevent a lot of conflicts from arising in the first place. In what ways are the personal characteristics I listed congruent or incongruent with my beliefs about essential leadership characteristics? I think that all of those three are completely congruent with being um, a good leader. Leaders should be empathetic, humble, and good at communicating. And I feel like I don't feel like there are very many good leaders out there that are bad at these things. I think that effective leaders might be not super great at some of those skills, but I think that a good leader that's really valued by the people that they're leading should be good at those things. So, yeah, I feel like it's very congruent with my beliefs about essential leadership characteristics. Yeah. Barriers that are preventing me from practicing the characteristics that I talked about. The main thing for me right now is that I am teaching kindergarten. I originally taught slightly older kids. I taught fifth grade. And then I considered teaching middle school. I really gravitate towards the older kids. And then this year I went down and taught kindergarten. And it's been really hard for me. I run out of patience by, like, the kids come in at 8 o'clock. I'm out of patience by about 8:15 most days. So it's really hard for me to empathize, especially because a lot of their problems are just so crazy to me. So it's hard for me to empathize with what they're going through. So yeah, I put note to self: teaching kindergarten is not for me. I used to be able to empathize with the students and the parents super easily, but it's been really, really hard for me because I am, like, at the end of my rope most days. So that's my current barrier that I am dealing with. And to resolve this, I hope to next year be teaching a different grade level. Oh, with that, I also do, like, try to step back and, like, refocus so that every day I can come in with a fresh start. I do also think about, like, my why am I doing this job? What, like, are my priorities for the day, and what do I want out of everything for the kids? So I do try to focus myself to try and help with this roadblock, but I think the most valuable change that I am pursuing right now is a different grade level. When I went over and I talked to my school counselor, Nicole, these are the 10 things that she said, and I'm just realizing that I put integrity on here twice, so I must have typed the same one twice somehow, from her paper copy that I gave her. So, integrity is on here. Also, she said being assertive, and being able to have those hard conversations, flexibility, empathy, being a good listener, well-spoken, optimistic, someone who lifts others up, and then someone who's considerate of others. So, uh, based off of that, the three things that she chose to point out in herself were empathy, flexibility, and assertiveness. She said with empathy, it's just a really big part of the job. With being a school counselor, she said she reads people well and she's able to pick up on what they're feeling. And then flexibility, again, it's just a huge part of the job as a school counselor. Things change on a dime, and you really never know what you're going to get with your day. Um, and then being assertive, she said she's able to be assertive and have hard conversations. It's not always comfortable, but she's able to do it. So it is a characteristic that she has. Um, in her time as a school counselor, incongruent with her beliefs about essential leadership characteristics. So this kind of ties into the next question, which is about events and moments that have caused her to reevaluate the characteristics of an effective leader. So she talks kind of about how there are times where like she is ready to have those hard conversations and be assertive about like, hey, we need to discuss these hard topics. But the kids are not on board with that. And so, as the counselor, she has to do what the student consents to. The student says, don't tell my parents this. She, in turn, says, okay, I won't tell your parents about this, even though she may feel like it may help the situation. It's not a safety concern, so she's not obligated to share it. But also, it could potentially solve problems in her the way that she's seeing things. It could solve problems, and the way the kid sees it, it's going to make everything worse. So she said it makes her uncomfortable, but she does stick to the way the rules are written. So she does not disclose that information, um, even though it doesn't really like vibe with her very well to keep all of the information to herself when she feels like sometimes the parents should know. Being able to be honest about hard things, that kind of goes back to the assertive thing too. And she specifically talked about DCF reports here. And then again, that connects to the next one. Events and moments that have caused you to reevaluate the characteristics of an effective leader. So a lot of times we view leaders as people who like have the answers to all of our questions. And she said that sometimes she's heard administrators say like, oh, I don't think you need to report that, in reference to like DCF, Department of Child and Family Services, or CPS, Child Protective Services. So she has heard administrators say, oh, you don't need to report that, it's fine. And that kind of did make her reevaluate and think like, oh, the leader isn't just someone who knows everything. They're not like the all-knowing entity in the room on everything. And then that connects back to her being able to be honest about challenging things, specifically with DCF reports and such. So yeah, that is my reflection, and the reflection from my coworker, Nicole. And yeah, thank you.